Very good. We're streaming on YouTube and we are recording on Zoom. So we'll open the meeting tonight at 7:04 p.m. Let's see. Let's do roll call, please. Robin?
All right. Colby?
I'm here.
And I'm here. Robin? Sean?
Here.
Tess?
Here.
Kevin?
I don't see him.
I don't see him either. I'm going to put excuse. Lee?
I don't see him either. Okay, we'll move forward.
All right. And just an FYI, Paige, who has resigned from the board, is no longer on public safety. So I removed her name.
And is that
No
from
problem.
GTLNC
Yeah,
or
we'll
just
miss Paige.
specific public safety?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
And is Lee excused as well, Robin?
I put Lee as excused. Do you
Okay.
know anything?
No. I didn't know if it, there was a difference between excused and absent. Just no, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm putting excused, and I'm hoping that Lee and Kevin will both sign on. So I'm
Okay.
marking them as excused, but I'm hoping they'll show up because sometimes they show up a little late. So, all right.
Okay. All right,
So
move on to the minutes.
we have quorum, so we
Yep.
can vote on the minutes. So let me, motion A is to approve the GTLNC April 4th, 2022 Public Safety Committee minutes. Do I have a first?
John.
Sean, thank you. Do I have a second?
I have a point of order rather than a second, if I may. May I?
I think we
Colby,
have,
Colby, why don't you second?
I'll second. Let's just get the minutes done. Is that okay? And then we'll move.
so I'll be the
Yeah,
second. Okay, so go.
The question is, Robin,
Mhm.
I did not receive the minutes and I didn't find them on the website. So that's, I
Oh,
I
they're there. I
They're there.
checked also. I checked today.
We
They
checked
are
this morning.
under. They are
Um,
under. If you go to committees at the upper top, in fact, you can probably do it right now if you're at the GTLNC.org website.
okay,
Go upper left-hand corner to committees,
okay,
click on that. And I'm just doing this by memory because I don't want to open up my screen and mess something up. And then you'll see committees, and the bottom lower right-hand corner of the screen is the Public Safety Committee.
yes.
Click on that,
Okay, all right. If it's,
and then go down, and you'll see documents and agendas. You can
okay,
see the date.
And they should have all been sent to the entire committee last week when I submitted them to posting.
yes, Robin, I really, really appreciate it when you email us that. I didn't open the document until just now that you emailed us. You emailed us the March meeting minutes. And when I looked on the website earlier, under the front page link, it didn't show. I'm seeing it now, but what I'm still seeing the March minute, sorry, the link for April minutes shows the March minutes.
Correct. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, so I do not unfortunately see the minutes. That's all I'm saying.
Let me think. We are in May.
Yes. So you forwarded the March minutes and then you have tonight's meeting minutes.
Okay. Huh.
Let me look. Okay, let me open up my screen. Hold on.
And Tess says, I also emailed you, Tess, just in case.
Okay, then we won't, if the minutes weren't posted properly, we won't vote on the minutes tonight.
Okay, we will postpone this.
Okay, thanks, Tess.
Okay, sorry, I just,
No, it's good. That's good. I'm
No.
glad you caught that.
I should have noticed it sooner, sorry.
Thanks, Tess. Okay, we'll vote on that we'll get that out properly, and we'll vote on that at the next public safety meeting. Move on to public comment. Please raise your hand. Jonathan, I see you. Let me know if you have something to say, or anyone else. Okay, I don't have any hands raised, so we'll move on to committee member news and announcements. We have a Tess as a special guest, and we all do, actually. Tess, would you like to?
Just Curtis is not going to make tonight's meeting, just FYI, I think you saw that.
I saw that, yeah.
And Okay, I just
I
want to,
I know Michelle has two other meetings tonight with other
Yes,
entities. so
I've
we
just
wanna
seen
get
her
on.
sign on. Is it possible to promote her to panelist?
Sure.
Okay, very good.
And make sure she can talk. I think the panelists will allow her to talk. Michelle, do you hear us? Let me check something else.
Hello.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Let me see if I can get my camera going. Let me see here. Okay.
Hi,
Hi.
Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Oh, thank you so much for making time for us. So, so I'm Tess, and Colby and Robin are the esteemed co-chairs of this fantastic committee. We have Sean Besharati and some members of the public. How much time do you have, Michelle, so that I can time myself accordingly?
So I believe I have maybe like 15 minutes or so.
Okay. We'll make it fast. And we do appreciate you being here. So I'm Tess Taylor, member of the committee, and we have the lovely Miss Michelle, am I pronouncing your name correctly, Vergara, who is the East Valley Area Representative, Legislative and External Affairs from the Office of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. Welcome to you, Miss Vergara. And I invited you to be here today because you spoke about the Beautify LA program in your community updates at our board meeting last week. I'm very interested in how those current objectives, the Beautify LA grant you mentioned, can dovetail with how public safety in our community can dovetail with Beautify LA grants and initiatives like these. We want to beautify and landscape problem areas in our district. Is that something we can do with these grants?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me on today's call. So I do have a couple of announcements, and I will go ahead and address your question in a little bit. First and foremost, something really exciting is happening this week on Wednesday. Downtown City Hall will be opening up to the public after 2 years. So that is something to look out for. City Hall will be opening on Monday. And in addition to that, you did, touch on it already, but the city does have two grant initiatives that are currently rolling out as we speak, and the deadlines are fast approaching. The first one being the Beautify LA grant, which focuses on providing financial support to help communities beautify public spaces. So this is, for example, any community group, neighborhood council, nonprofit organization that is interested in helping leverage resources that they already have, or enhance on projects that they are currently working on. If there's anything specific that you guys, want to beautify, want to work on, have a, new innovative idea, this particular funding is specific to that. And it's in addition to city money that is already being funneled out into the different areas of the city to have work like this done already. So the proposals are being accepted via email as well as in person. They will begin receiving applications starting Wednesday, May 4th in person at City Hall. And then that is actually the deadline of the program. So folks
I've seen this roll out a couple of times, though. It tends to renew, doesn't it?
Yeah. So this is the first cycle, second round.
Okay.
So there is, I believe, there may be additional funding opportunities for this that will open up in the near future. So we would be more than happy to share those when they do. But for the current cycle, the deadline is May 4th.
We probably won't make this deadline, but it's good. I think it's good to know that it's rolling. So question, if I recall correctly, at the general board meeting last month, you said that the organizations who apply for this don't necessarily have to be nonprofit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. So that opens it up.
Yes.
Very good. So do these grant-funded projects supplant normal LA Office of Beautification projects within the city? You mentioned these grants being used to augment them. In other words, why would I not go straight to Paul Rax and ask him to do something? What would be my motivation to go the grant route instead or in addition to, Michelle?
So this is more of a collaborative effort.
Okay.
We definitely want it to be more community-based and hear input and really have you guys be the driving force of a lot of these projects. And I think with something that our office has been hearing as well is that for other types of funding, for instance, there are certain limitations. And while there are some limitations for this one as well, the fact that it's not restricted solely to nonprofits is a huge one, where folks that are, not necessarily working for a nonprofit can also apply and qualify to get this type of funding.
So we currently have, I know there are projects in Toluca Lake, which has an organization called Beautification Partners. We don't have anything analogous in this neighborhood, which is West Toluca Lake, which is also part of the same neighborhood council district. But we do have an initiative with Jackie Keene in CD2, Paul Krikorian's office. And would it make sense, Michelle, to piggyback a grant like this onto something that's in the works with the city or not?
I mean, I think it just really depends on the type of project. I can share the link with you all. I believe I did send an email a little bit earlier, but if you go on there, the guidelines are very specific on the types of projects that this funding is able to fund.
Very good. So I have a couple more questions, but I think why don't we open it up to the committee because your time is short in case they have any clarifying questions they'd like to ask. Robin, Sean, Colby.
So neighborhood councils can't, I mean, just to be clear, neighborhood councils can't apply, I'm assuming.
They can.
Oh, really?
They can.
Okay.
Yes. Neighborhood councils.
I didn't think we could apply. I didn't think we could apply. I didn't look at your email yet. I just got it. I didn't know we could apply. I didn't know we were allowed to apply or receive grant money.
Wow.
We are. Okay. Wow.
Let's do it, Colby. We'll put something together. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was saying why I asked the question. It seemed so obvious, but I didn't think we could. Oh, okay.
And can you give me the link or the email address so I can forward this information on to other organizations in the community to apply?
Actually, I have it right here. I'll just forward it to you right now.
Perfect.
Very good. So that's really terrific. And what other ways, Michelle, can we use these? This is a public safety committee meeting. And when you made your announcement last month, I thought there's got to, how do we're trying to beautify areas in our neighborhood that are real problem spots, for example, but in what other ways can we use these grants to enhance public safety, or what are you seeing being done successfully? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I think with particularly the focus of this program is, again, to engage community and basically to beautify spaces that are used by community that for instance, maybe have not had the same care as other areas, right? The city is so big. So that is why with this grant, that is the main focus. They just want to create a clean, a beautiful LA by forming these partnerships with, neighborhood councils, other community members, and just focusing on these beautification efforts overall. And it says a lot when your community, when something is driven by the community, you guys collectively work on it. And overall, I think it definitely helps with crime overall. When you put effort and time into these spaces that, generally benefit the community.
These projects only benefit, like for instance, we have a patchwork of jurisdictional issues. Like for instance, in West Toluca Lake, we have, freeways and things, underpasses, which aren't, I'm told, not necessarily the city's responsibility, might be Caltrans or DOT. How does that work? Like our biggest trouble spot is West Toluca Lake underneath the freeways. How does that work?
So that is correct. When it comes to freeways, a lot of the time that is Caltrans. And for instance, if you reach out to one of your state representatives, whether it's an assembly member or a senator, they may be able to help, flag it for Caltrans if it's something that hasn't already been flagged for them. And a lot of the time, depending on what it is, if it's encampments, if it's trash, whatever it is, they are able to figure out solutions to best address the situation. And sometimes it's really weird where it's multi-jurisdictional, right? It could be a space near the freeway. While yes, it is mainly Caltrans, sometimes it also does involve the city of LA, and they will send out sanitation or whatever department it is based on the need for that particular area. So we work together.
Do you, sorry, are there any other questions?
I
have
did.
some, but go ahead. Sean, do you have one?
I just, with respect to the beautification, if there's an area, because there is, again, a spot in West Toluca Lake that is a problem, is kind of a problem area. And in beautifying it, it might give us an opportunity to kind of relieve some issues that that are suffering in that area. Is that something that this grant could be used for? Specifically, one specific area that if we were to beautify it, it could kind of have a twofold purpose. It'll make the area look good, and it will also help with some of the issues that are happening in that area.
I think you're
muted, Michelle.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so definitely there are a lot of things. I know, for instance, some of the things that come off the top of my head are any projects that are located in like street islands, sidewalks, parkways, walls that are visible to the public, park property, library property. I believe there's also like public school campuses. So for instance, things that, to give you a better idea would be like landscaping projects, murals, tree planting, flower planting, trash receptacles, things of that nature, maybe some like slight refurbishments. So those are some things. And in the guidelines, I don't know if I attached them to the email, but I can definitely attach all these attachments and send them over your way. That way you guys can see all the delineated eligibility requirements. And if you guys are not able to make it for this round, you guys can already have the information ready for the next round.
Very good. And when is the next round?
We are not sure yet. As I mentioned, this one is coming to an end on Wednesday. So they haven't mentioned anything yet. But the proposal process, from what I read, doesn't seem too difficult. I think it's more of like a one-pager. So if you're able to put that together based on the information that is required, perhaps you can still send it in. And the good thing is that you can send it electronically. As I mentioned earlier, we're taking electronic applications or in person.
Maybe we'll get something in under the deadline. Colby raised a good question about multi-jurisdictional patchworks. So the project would have to be entirely 100% on city property, correct?
Yes, from my understanding it is. I can definitely go ahead and ask and clarify, but it must be contained within city boundaries.
That's what I would assume. And I see here in your very impressive bio, Michelle, that you've worked with gang reduction and youth development. Do you bring those guys in at all? Is there any job creation when we do beautifying? We've had, for example, community cleanups, and they send in the LA Conservation Corps, which I think is super cool. Do these guys get put to work? I mean, I think that would be great.
Yeah, so the Mayor's Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development specifically focuses on the hotspots, throughout the city that have high crime rates. So a lot of their efforts are revolve around gang prevention, gang intervention, subcontracting various nonprofit agencies throughout the entire city. And during the summer specifically, a way that they kind of tie themselves into the community is through their Summer Night Lights program, which I'm not sure if you guys are all familiar with.
What's that?
But that is, again, scattered throughout the 32 grid zones within the city, and parks stay open late during the summertime. So this is to help give youth a space where they can go hang out, do something productive, as opposed to just, being on the street. And what this program does is that they do a lot of activities. They have resource fairs, they have barbecues for the community. LAPD is often involved. They sometimes play pickup basketball games, etc. Again, to try and bridge that line between law enforcement and community, and really build community and keep communities safe.
That's really terrific. And I'm just curious, with your gang reduction work, I'm sure you must be familiar with Homeboy Industries. Do you connect with them at all?
Yes. So because I oversee the Northeast San Fernando Valley, not as much, because Homeboy is based out of LA, and I do know they service other pockets of the city, but mainly the subcontractors that I work with are located in the Northeast Valley.
Okay. Since I know you've got just a minute or two to go, perhaps we open it up to questions from the public, if any.
I have one more question. Is there a limit on a grant value? Like, or what's the average amount that is granted?
For the Beautify LA grant?
Yeah.
What's the most we can?
When we do, we have a limit of $5,000.
Yeah. Let me find that out exactly for you, or maybe I can look through the guidelines really quick.
I can look through it. It's probably on the application when we look at that.
Yeah.
We'll go to the public. If any of the board members have any other questions, if you don't have a question,
what's the most we can ask for? What a great question.
Yes, I think it's a couple thousand, if I'm not mistaken.
So don't get greedy. Okay.
Okay. Better than nothing.
Any questions? Jonathan Gregory, yes, you have a question. Hi, Jonathan.
Thank you. I mean to say hello to all of the board here. Ms. Vergara, I'm very happy that you're here, and I hope from time to time, because you're from the mayor's office, I realize you have a lot of things to do, but the time you spend in these neighborhood councils, especially this one, because this is where I am, I very much appreciate it. I wanted to say that before I take the time to tell you this. I know you're inevitably going to be going back to the mayor's office to regroup for a meeting where some of that information is going to be funneled back up to the mayor. And I wouldn't feel happy if you left this meeting without you hearing it from me, a stakeholder in West Toluca Lake, that the condition of the streets, notwithstanding that you're making an effort in all of these different areas you're talking about, from beautification to gang control, it's completely unacceptable. And I know that you can see it just by taking a drive in the community, not meaning just West Toluca Lake or Toluca Lake, but we're surrounded by social problems. Public policy is not working when it looks like this out in the streets of LA. So I know we can't together tonight solve the problem. It's a long discussion and it's lots of different problems. But if you just take a look in the streets, the word beautification is almost absurd because fundamental cleaning and fixing is not being addressed. And when I say fundamental, I'm talking fundamental, absolutely filthy environments when you get off the freeways, whether it doesn't matter whether it's Caltrans, county, or city. It's our problem because this is where we live. So I don't mean to be aggressive toward you because you can't imagine how happy I am that you're here. But I do want you to take that information back to the mayor's office that at least this stakeholder is not happy when I see LA looking like this, even though we're all working very hard to turn it around and make it nice again. So if you'll have that as part of your visit, I'll very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Gregory. That information is very important to us, and I will definitely take it back and relay that to the mayor, to our management staff, and continue on working through solutions to help us address each community's needs. We know that looks different for every community throughout the city, but be rest assured that we're still working. And I know pandemic kind of came and hit us unexpectedly, and a lot of things kind of rolled out of that, slowed down a bit. But hopefully now that COVID restrictions are easing up a bit and Main City Hall is opening up, hopefully we can get back to our pre-pandemic workforce and initiatives. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And really quick to address the question on how much money, it's $2,500.
Okay, good to know.
Thank you.
All right. So Michelle, I have just two more quick items. I was going to address, and I had gotten my comment down to 1 minute when I called into the budgets, the mayor's budget meeting this morning, and I was called on, but I couldn't connect. And then I lost my opportunity when I tried to raise my hand again. That's number one. And number two, I would love to chat with you more offline about some of your activities with gang reduction and youth development. That's an area that really interests me. And I have no more questions, and I really appreciate you coming tonight. Unless anybody else has questions, Michelle has 45 meetings that she's going to simultaneously.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been wonderful having you, and it's so nice to have someone come on and actually offer, solid solutions for some of our issues. And I think that's we could. I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
We all
so
do.
much.
Oh, and Michelle, say hello to Schnitzel, Simba, and Kobe.
Oh, thank you so much.
See you later.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good
I'll
night.
be in
Have a good
touch.
night.
Then really quick, I know there was a comment made on the budget. There is a link where folks are able to go and submit public comment.
I will email. It won't be half as effective in writing, but thank you.
Correct. Yeah, no worries. Just wanted to flag for you all. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
All right. Well
Okay.
done.
Very nice.
All right. Thank you, Tess, for inviting her.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah,
Thank
very
you for having her.
good. Skipping right along. Fortunately, Curtis is on patrol, which is good for our community, but and he'll get us those stats. Did he ever send us the stats, Robin?
They haven't come out yet.
Okay, I remember he was going to
annual
go into.
stats. Yeah, I talked to him about that. I'm waiting.
Is Tiffany? I don't think Tiffany's on the line.
No, I don't see her.
And then, okay, Robin.
All
Watson.
right, Neighborhood Watch. Sean, Tess, you're both watch captains. The HOA and the Neighborhood Watch are collaborating to do a community block party. So each watch captain was sort of offered the opportunity to work with a HOA member if needed to basically, and what I said was, you are the ambassador for your street. So if all you want to do is stand out there, introduce yourself and say, are you an HOA member? Are you a neighborhood watch? Are you on a neighborhood watch? Do you want to participate? That's the goal. But if you want to make food, if you want to provide drinks, if you want to do a potluck, if you want to do an ice cream social, it could be as big or as small as you want it to be. That would be May 22nd from 4 to 6. We're hoping that each neighborhood, I think we have 50 plus watch captains. If 10 of you guys do a block party, that's a great hope. I know a few of my watch captains are out of town. They are looking for someone else to do it on their street. But it was a great suggestion by Terry Herkner, who's in charge of events for the HOA. She wanted to partner with the Neighborhood Watch. And I love the idea that, rather than in the past we've done National Night Out. This is kind of like a great version of our National Night Out because you're really meeting your neighbors. And the hope is that if and when there is a catastrophe or some situation where the police, the first responders cannot get to us, we know our neighbors and we have an email chain and we can reach out to everybody and be safer because we all know each other on our block. So hopefully we'll have a great turnout. And if you have any questions,
just to be clear, Robin, on this, these would be individually organized in different geographic locations on May 22nd from 4 to 6. Okay, just checking. All right.
yeah. So Tess, on your street, you would organize a block party and sign up your neighbors. So
Right.
we've sent out a cute block party flyer, and you can write on it and leave it at your neighbor's doors, the ones you don't know, and the ones you do know, you can email. And basically just make your street aware that there's going to be this block party. And like I said, it could be as simple as wine and cheese or, oh, that was the other thing. Sharky's has given us 10% off that night. I have cards that actually give you the 10% off, but Brenda, who's the manager at the Sharky's in Toluca Lake, said if anybody comes in and says 10% off, for food to cater it,
Okay.
she will honor it. And then I'm working on Mendocino Farm. I forget her name. Bernadette, I think is her name. And she is looking through corporate to be able to give us a discount. So if you want to purchase food from our local restaurants and just ask. I mean, all I did was ask. I mean, ask any restaurant you want to maybe buy something from. If they know that this event is going on in the community, I'm sure 10% off is an easy give. So, and then the only other thing I have to talk about is the Toluca Lake barbecue on
Right.
4550 Mariota, Saturday, May 7th from 3 to 7. It's an empty house and the barbecue will be in the backyard. It's being put on by the chamber, but it is an absolutely free event. They do want you to RSVP so they know how much food to provide.
Right. Okay.
TolucaLakeChamber.com/barbecue, BBQ.
I'm glad you reminded me. I'll send out a blast. Thank you.
Yes, please do. And it's on the chamber website, so you can get any information you need. But it's sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. So
How could it not be?
that's really it. The community's rallying. So
3 to 7 p.m. Okay.
yeah.
And the address again, just so I have it handy, is Mariota.
4550 Mariota Avenue.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Cool.
All right.
And I don't see Steve Rostam.
No, no.
So we'll move on to ongoing business unless any stakeholders have something to say.
Now, do you see, I don't see Mary Weaver.
No, I'm looking for Mary also. I don't see Mary
She
Weaver.
might be one of the phone numbers, but maybe not.
They
Mary
both
Weaver.
can talk. Mary, if you're one of the phone numbers calling in, please make your presence known.
Mary Weaver's street that she's the captain for is over by that waffle restaurant.
Oh yeah, over in Lancashire. Yeah.
And waffles.
Has a
Across from
multitude
Verse.
of problems and crimes
Okay.
over there. And I was hoping, she said she was going to attend, but maybe she couldn't make it. So,
We'll give her. We'll circle back if she jumps on later.
all right.
Ron. Let's see.
And then
crime.
we wanted to address the crime in Toluca Lake. Obviously, this is the elephant in the room. We all know crime is on the rise. I'm hoping this block party is the first step to getting to know your neighbors, because we really do have to rally. We really have to know our neighbors. We have to show the criminals that they cannot come into our neighborhood and steal our cars and our catalytic converters and our, and our poor gardeners, the gardeners. I've had so many crimes reported recently where they're still coming in daylight time and taking tools off their trucks. I know a lot of the gardeners are locking them up, but it is just an ongoing situation.
Oh, and a van was stolen. Remember
Yes, a van was
one of our
stolen.
neighbor's vans was stolen just in the daylight out of her driveway.
Yep. Well, no, it was like 3:30 in the morning, but they have it on the cameras. But
Okay.
when Curtis spoke at the homeowners meeting, I asked the question about crime and the uptick. And he said that there is going to be on May 21st an etching for catalytic converters, which Tess, I think you're going to talk about that later. And then he said that you need motion lights around your property that light up like a airport. He said, he said his neighbor has them. It doesn't bother him. He just pulls the drapes closed. He said, I prefer to have the lights outside as bright as possible because criminals love darkness. He said that there are dawn to dusk, or dusk to dawn light bulbs that you can purchase that are great for better lighting. And somebody said that you can control them from your phone even.
Mhm.
So we need to look into those. And then he said you've got to get like a Ring camera system, an alerting system. You have to have some sort of cameras around your house to alert you when there is motion, because you need to prevent the crime from actually happening. The cameras aren't going to really do any good after the fact, because they're just not, most of these people have masks or they cover themselves and there's no way to know who they are. Plus the license plates on the cars are very difficult to read at night.
Now, we did discuss a while ago, months ago, about the idea of buying, like 25 or 50 Ring cameras and distributing those to the first 50 or 100 people who ask for them from us.
Yeah.
I don't think we had the money in this fiscal year, but maybe that's something to look into.
I wonder if we could contact one of these companies like Ring and see if they would, if we could, maybe get a neighborhood discount where.
Well, there's different levels. There was a roadblock. I forgot what it was. It might have been, I think it requires I know what it was. Ring does require a subscription service if you want to record
Right.
the footage, and that I thought might be an issue for
Yeah.
for if we
Well,
distribute.
you can get a Ring that will notify you on your phone that doesn't record.
It does, yeah. That's the basic one without the subscription, as far as I understand. But that might be something to look into, because it's great. You can have your phone, and anytime there's motion, it will ring. It'll alert your phone. It's a little intrusive sometimes, but for people who really want it, I think it's nice to have.
Of course, for my brother who lives out in the sticks with his wife, every time a coyote or a squirrel goes by, you've got that too. But they like it. They have home movies with animals.
That's awesome.
Probably get some interesting footage. You probably would. That's crime. See, lighted safety vests. I haven't. Let's see. I spoke with the city. I spoke with about that, and as far as I understand, we are not limited to having a certain size logo, but it does have to have our website on it. So because it's part of outreach, I'm not sure if that might be in the next fiscal year, because it's about $1,500 or so for those vests, and I got to see how tight our money is as we roll into the last month here. Let's see, update on homicide at Sarah Street in Vineland. Curtis isn't here to discuss that, but as we all remember that there is I believe that there's a suspect in custody.
I can provide some details. Colby, can I provide some details?
Yes, yes, please do.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear that last bit. So yeah, I've actually been exchanging messages with Curtis, but I spoke to Detective Haggis today, who was the guy on the detail, to see if there's any further updates. And there's no police report that's been released yet, because they have to wait until discovery is complete, and it can take up a year to go to the preliminary hearing. But I wanted to know, it came up in some emails with CD2 as to whether the victim died on private property or not. And I thought that was sort of irrelevant. And I confirmed today that it is irrelevant, that he passed through and was stabbed on public property and then ran to and died on private property. But the fact is, it's a distinction without a difference, which I pointed out to the folks in CD2. And of course, that area, which I've shown you, Colby, is the area that we have such a high proportion of problems with. But credit to CD2 and Tiffany Zaitunian for getting it cleaned up. We had a major Care Plus cleaning on Friday that finally removed the encampment, and it's very clean on at least one side, on the west side of the underpass right now. So we're hoping that it stays that way. And of course, we're remaining vigilant with our neighborhood cleanups. The next one is on May 14th, Saturday, May 14th. So that's the homicide update.
Thank you, Tess. I'm glad they did a cleanup. That's wonderful. What did they do? They got rid of an encampment, and what else did they?
They got rid of that very large, like 8-person tent that's been there for a long, long time. They cleared away some just a whole bunch of debris, old furniture, and bike parts on the west side of the underpass. Now, one small tent and belongings have been moved to the east side of the underpass, and we're still waiting for street lights to be put in there. At my last communication on this topic, I was told it's going to take the Bureau of Street Lighting 56 business days to replace those lights, even though they have been dark for well over a year or two and reported several times.
It might be, I was thinking that it might be down to 48 now. I've been counting the days.
Yeah. Well, it's getting better. We'll take what we can get. It looks like Jonathan might have a question.
Yes, I was going to call upon him.
Thank you. I don't want to take time from anyone, but this little subject about Sierra Street, it's important. My question here is that beautification project that I forget her name already, Michelle, whatever, Vergara was talking about. Can that $2,500, maybe we can, and probably none of us have an answer, but maybe that $2,500 could be used toward dumping large rugged rocks in that area? Because until we change the hardscaping to be, this is what's going to happen to LA in the future, is the social problems are only going to be brought under control if things are done to alter the landscaping. So we can't continue to have an environment that allows people to desecrate it. So lights are of course important, and in the underpasses and all of that's important, but we already know there needs to be a barrier. Even maybe we could buy a fence, an attractive 8-foot or 6-foot high fence that runs until you get to the turn into Little Vineland. But in any case, that was the reason I wanted to speak right now, is that until we change the environment there, it's very susceptible. And obviously cleaning up all of Riverside, I mean, it's whether you live in Toluca Lake Village or you live in West Toluca Lake, it's just too close to home. I don't care if you're on the lake, you still got to drive out of your house and get someplace in LA, or you invite your family and they see this schmutz. It's really awful. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to see if I can't, I don't know if I'd be able to put in an application before the deadline on Wednesday, but I'll see if it's at least feasible to tie that in with their current efforts in CD2, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Or some kind of fence, or I know it has to be some sort of a passway there, but maybe it's so wide, too wide. So there's a way to block that. Or as you said, I read your email earlier also, Jonathan. So, okay. Moving right along, unless someone else has something else to say, we'll go to Caltrans cleanup on Riverside Drive. Robin, do you have something to add about that?
So
That's what we touched upon before. Is that the same? Is that the same? That's the same one, right, Tess?
Yeah, it's the same. It's not quite the same. It's a different mess, Colby.
Oh, okay, good. Oh my gosh. Well, Caltrans, that's good.
Yeah, this is the really large one on.
That's between the two freeways?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I remember this.
As of today, Tiffany Zatunian says they're working with Caltrans and the Assembly members' office to coordinate the encampments, because that's one of those multi-jurisdictional things. Okay, so they're on state property, and LA Sanitation that obviously doesn't have jurisdiction to intervene, but they're coordinating between Caltrans and LA Sanitation. I'm also directly in touch with Sophia Sudani, who told me that they're getting dates scheduled with Caltrans, and they've already done a spot cleanup. Let's see, she just sent me an email a couple hours ago. Yeah, they do not yet have a date set for the relocation at 134 Vineland, but it's in the works. And she's going to keep me posted when they actually have an official cleanup and relocation date, because right now they're waiting to hear back from LA Housing Authority about outreach teams and what's going to, how they're going to rehome these people. So that's the Riverside Caltrans update.
Okay, I wish there was a permanent solution for that. Like, you know, you don't think a higher fence would help, and you know, we talked about that, or maybe a change in that landscape. Maybe
Well-
the grass is, I don't know, maybe the
Well, I
hardscape
mean,
would be great.
I see a future where, I mean, I'd like to see West Toluca Lake become like the model community. And when we have all of these problems under control, to have that area, you know, made beautiful with parks, yeah, more trees. And I don't know if that will ever be possible since it's on the side of a freeway, but I'm meeting with Sophia to talk about that, and whatever the best solutions are, we'll, I guess, consider them all and ask the community and see what it costs.
Okay, I have a member of the public. Hi, your the phone number ending in 736.
Yeah, yes. Hi, good evening. This is Frank Archiaga.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Frank, again.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Hi.
Hi, Frank.
Yeah, hi. So I'm the new homeowner. I actually live right on Riverside Drive in West Toluca Lake. So I do see that homeless encampment all the time. I drive on Riverside Drive, and we actually, you guys were just talking about ring cameras. We installed ring cameras all around the house and at our front gate. So we see the homeless individuals walking up and down the street with their carts day and night. So it's really become a huge issue, at least for myself, a safety issue, because they are, I've heard of them breaking into vehicles, and now they're just throwing trash everywhere. And sometimes they're walking down Riverside Drive and they have some mental issues. So it's just, you know, you're outside, you're cleaning, you're doing something, and, you know, you're a little bit afraid as they're walking by you or approaching you. But I wasn't aware until today that those are different departments that handle the cleanup for that area. So I had been calling 311 and asking for them to do the cleanup on that, but I did submit a ticket today for what is it, Caltrans. So apparently there's been a lot of tickets already submitted for that issue. So it's just kind of nice to hear that, listening to today's meeting, that that's already being looked at, and there's hopefully cleanup in the future. So good to hear that. I just wanted to know, like, how can we prevent this going forward? Because when we moved here in December, and it happened like one or two times, but it was very minimal. But this last encampment is quite large. There's like 3 different areas. So yes, we'll get the cleanup on this time around, but how do we prevent this going forward?
Well, that's become my life's work, Frank. So drop me a line. If you look at the Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council website, test.taylor@gtlnc.org. And I will, you know, I'll give you the update offline in more detail, because I think everyone here has heard it, and I'd love to meet you in person and, you know, walk down there. I was just down there this morning. And by the way, another shout out to Tiffany for helping out. I found a homeless gentleman at 6:45 a.m. in a wheelchair in just a very dangerous location on the street. And by coordinating the folks at St. Matthews and CD2 and filing a LA HOP request, I got him, you know, taken care of and hospitalized. So anyway, we'll talk, Frank, and I'm glad you're here. We need as much community, you know, support as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And welcome to the
Frank,
welcome.
Frank, are you on a watch list? Do you have a watch captain?
I'm not watch. No, like I said, I'm just new to the area. Moved in December of 2021. Just bought the house here. So all this is new to me, and what I'm seeing in the neighborhood is new to me. I mean, I've met my neighbors, Diane on one side, and there's another couple on the other side. But as far as meeting anybody else, no, I haven't. And I'm not part of any watch list.
Frank, email me at Robin, ROBYN, .Allen, ALLYN, @GTLNC.org, and send me
Okay.
your name and email and your street address, so that I know which watch captain possibly you have in your area. And if not, maybe
Okay.
you'll consider becoming a watch captain, because you know, the more you're involved, the more you get to know your neighbors. It's a great way to meet new neighbors when you move into a new location.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. I'll go ahead and send that email to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank, and be sure to email me too. Cheers. All right,
Thanks,
good.
Frank. Moving on to catalytic converter etching event. Robbie, you mentioned that, or Tess, did you?
Well, no, Tess, these are all Tessa's
They're all
bullets.
Tess. Okay, Tess, go ahead about the catalytic converter.
There's no great pride of authorship because Robin, you've trumped me. You got a date out of Curtis that I didn't.
Curtis.
But that's
It
because
was
I had
May
that's-
21st, May
And
21st.
where will that be?
I don't know.
Okay.
He just mentioned that it was May 21st. So
Okay.
it sounds like, I didn't want to interrupt the homeowner meeting. It just sounds like they actually have, what do? You drive your.
Well, actually, a neighbor brought this to my attention and I ran an item in the newsletter and we have interest here. Basically, the LAPD will etch your VIN number, your vehicle.
Sorry. Sorry.
The LAPD will etch your vehicle identification number on your catalytic converter, which helps to thwart theft because the thing that they're sold on the black market for their parts. And when thieves see that it's been etched with an identification number, they are far less likely to steal it. And of course, these things are very expensive. So if you hear from Curtis before I do and let me know where that location is, we'll put it in the newsletter and let everybody know. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'll find out if I can get an address.
And if you drive a Tesla, you don't need this.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, what about those of us who drive?
Well, I don't drive a Tesla, but I'm saying for those who do.
Pinto.
No one drives a Pinto.
A Pinto? No, no. Not anymore. No. Tess, the abandoned house at 11228 Blix.
So 3 cheers for Kevin Duffner, our neighborhood prosecutor. And he is working with us on this. My neighbors have reported this is a long-standing abandoned house. It's been abandoned for about 10 years. And what I learned is, and I didn't know this, and I think it's useful for people to know, that when the owner of the property is not present, as in a home that stands vacant or empty, the owner can put a trespass authority letter on file, which lasts for a year, which basically means when somebody calls in and somebody's trespassing on the property and the owner is not there, then that gives the police the authority to arrest the trespasser. They cannot do that without the owner's trespass authority letter on file. So Kevin was kind enough. The owners have changed at that particular location. He had a trespass authority letter on file before, but with a new owner, he does not. So he's just sent a letter to them, inquiring about getting trespass authority. And I don't see any reason why an owner wouldn't want to protect his property because there's a lot of apparently homeless squatters there. According to neighbors, there's a big mess, overgrown vegetation. So we're getting that resolved with building and safety. And thanks very much to Kevin Duffner for his help with that. In fact, I would like to propose, Robin and Colby, that we put him on the agenda as a future guest because he's got a lot of really good resources and ideas to deal with nuisances and common problems that we deal with on a public safety level. So can we do that for a future meeting?
Of course, just send me the information.
All right. We'll agendize any problem having him at the next meeting in June.
No
Fine.
issue.
All right, I'll see if he's available. Thank you.
Tess,
You're up
to
again.
add,
Good neighbor laws from LA.
Sean had a question, Colby?
no, it just,
about good neighbor laws. We're moving on to good neighbor laws.
Oh.
Unless someone else wants to talk more about the Blix property and the.
I just wanted to add to that. I have that same trespass because of the issues that I had recently with people coming onto the property.
Mhm.
And in addition to having that trespass authorization, you also need to have a sign. Curtis actually helped me with that. So that's just an
Really?
FYI.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
a sign, and I can send you the link for the sign. You can get it on Amazon relatively inexpensively, but you have to have a sign that needs to be posted.
Okay, thank you, Sean. I didn't know that. Please send that to me.
I will.
Thanks, Tess. And next up, I see good neighbor laws.
Yeah, so I've learned, thank you for including this on the agenda, Robin. I'm including links in my neighborhood resources. And this, when I was checking on whether Kevin Duffner was still our neighborhood prosecutor, I found that this is an excellent resource also to address common nuisances and what to do about them. And there's also one that's specific for the valley, which is really good. It's how to address nuisances, including loud or unruly gatherings, construction noise, amplified music, leaf blowers, car alarms, fireworks, home auto repair, inoperable vehicles, parking in alleys, parking in front yard, excessive dog barking, basic maintenance and repair of buildings, outside storage, trash and debris, or excess vegetation, vacant buildings, and that sort of thing. So it's very useful, and I think people should know about it because we probably get a lot of calls like this, and to be able to direct them to that resource is going to be helpful. That's it.
Yes, if you send me a something I could print and put on the bulletin board, I will gladly print and do that. And if you want to add this to this week's newsletter, I could add it to that as well.
Sure. I'm sending you the Valley Good Neighbor laws as we speak. Check your email. Of
Can you forward that to me as well, Tess?
course.
Thank you.
Okay, Valley Edition. I'll send it to you, Colby, too.
Thanks, Tess.
All right.
And then last year I see National Night Out, which I believe is August 2nd this year. I wish Officer Delbar were here, but I'm hoping it's going to be in person. I'm thinking it will be, as opposed to last year's. But that's really all I know right now. If someone else has more to talk about it, please go ahead.
What I can tell you is that because I attend meetings when I can at adjacent neighborhood councils to see what they're up to and how we can work together. A Studio City Neighborhood Council has a very, I think strong board, and they have they're trying to coordinate National Night Out with a couple of other entities and including adjacent neighborhood councils. So there was a proposed date or two floating around. If there's an interest, I think that's a good idea because, of course, there's a cost associated. And I think, we can do it and get the benefit of it without having to shoulder the entire expense ourselves. And it's sort of an extension, Robin, of the good neighbor thing where, we get to know people in adjacent districts. We have common concerns. So if you guys are interested, I'll find out if the dates have been nailed down or if they're still floating, and we can talk about doing that together with them and maybe another couple neighborhood councils. How do you feel?
Sounds good.
Okay.
It's always been a popular event in years past.
Right.
And any stakeholder comments about what we just went through? No? Okay, we'll go to new business. Oh, I see Jonathan.
You can hear me. Okay. I just remember this, and I'm not there, but I would recommend whenever you're driving along Riverside Drive, check certain things out. This is what I do. I look at the coffee bean on the corner of Riverside Drive and what is that? Not Coin.
Lancashire.
Riverside and Lancashire.
And Lancashire. If you check the cafe and you look at the degree of cleanliness going on at these businesses, I don't know if McDonald's is open yet, but
It is.
Look at what's going on in these businesses. And other neighborhood councils do this, is they say something to business owners that foster filth. In other words, they're not making the community, they're not doing anything to make the community look decent. In fact, they're degrading it by what's going on. So occasionally, I see this often at North Hollywood at the Starbucks. It's just disgusting. I mean, I wouldn't even sit in there, but there's no reason for this at the Coffee Bean because it is not but it's in that area. And if you see that, I realize you can't walk up to the manager, but amongst the board members, there should be some degree of conversation going on what's going on with these, how do you call it, business owners, the people who own these businesses that do nothing to make the community look like the place it should look like a normal place where you can feel comfortable walking around. Riverside Drive, that area between Vineland and, that triangle there, just to the east of West Toluca Lake, that has just always been one of the filthiest places. The street is filthy, garbage on it. I don't know if that van is still parked there where it talks about naked people to clean your house. And we used to go around, that went on for years. And what's her name? Alice Roth would get on, nothing ever happened. But by taking a good look at what's going on there and talking first to ourselves and figuring out, is this satisfactory? That's the first step. Is it satisfactory when you drive by? But each time I've gotten off the freeway and go through there, I just think it's awful. I mean, I look at it and I say, this is so degrading for a nice community to have this stuff going on. Again, this is not a reflection on anybody here. This is not something we can do, but we can acknowledge it is the first step, is at least acknowledge when it looks like hell, and then figure out ways to make it less comfortable for people to ruin the environment. Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan.
So may I comment?
Sure.
North Hollywood has a business improvement district. Toluca Lake has a chamber of commerce. That area that you referenced, Jonathan, is sort of a no man's land. I wonder if, Jonathan, you might call up CD2 and see where the business, what the borders of the business district are. It seems like that portion has fallen through the cracks. And I think this was brought up before, Colby, and if I recall correctly, you had a little bit of reluctance, if I'm remembering correctly, about talking to business owners about this. I mean, I have no problem, and it doesn't have to be aggressive.
I talked to CD4 at the time.
Mhm.
There was a reason why they were opposed to us issuing remember, actually, we had it on an agenda several months ago where we would, because Jonathan and I talked about this before, and we talked about this at meetings. And at first we were going to do some sort of like a letter of commendation or letter of recommendation for businesses. And I forgot exactly what it was when I talked to CD4 about it. And they were opposed to us doing that the way I presented it. I forgot exactly why, but there was a reason why we weren't, we're discouraged from doing that for a legal reason. I don't remember what it was at this point. But that area is Tess, you and I talked about that area.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, isn't that where Idle Hour is and the Skillet restaurant? Is that triangle?
Not that it's a block south from there. It's
okay.
On the riverside between Lancashire and Vineland, and that triangle. It's where the Chase Bank has been sitting vacant.
Oh, I know that's bad. The Chase Bank, and Sean knows a lot about that.
Yeah.
That's been blight for so long, and my hope is that, I mean, they came, the owners of Chase Bank came in 3 years ago, and they gave us some plans, and I don't know what happened to their plans because the project is stalled.
It is.
It's still opposed to it, as far as I know.
It's still. I mean, they had their community event in downtown LA, where they, it was like on a Tuesday at 10 in the morning. It's still kind of in limbo. And I just wanted to make one comment to Jonathan. He is correct in that one little spot on Riverside that is between Lancashire and Vineland. It has been disgusting. I've made calls because there's been people that have parked there and were camping there, and it's just, there was a huge camper there for many months. There has been some improvement. There's one of the buildings that is on the on-ramp right there has put in lights that, I mean, you could warm yourself under them. They're very, very bright, and it's great. And it's awesome to see that, because now it's lighting up the street a little bit more. And then there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about, on Riverside between Lancashire and Cahuenga. All the lights have been down. I know we had a conversation a while ago about the lights that are on Riverside that are to the west of Vineland, but between Vineland and Cahuenga, the Riverside lights have been down for quite some time. And I've put a 311 in. I don't know if anyone else has seen that or noticed that, and if anyone else has put in a request for that.
I have a comment for that. Can you repeat the exact stretch, Sean, one more time? The lights, where is that again?
It's between Lancashire and Cahuenga.
Yes. Okay. That's been out since November.
Yep.
On Riverside. And that was actually going to be one of the topics of my comment at the mayor's budget meeting this morning, where I was not able to speak. So I'm following up on that as well. And I mean, I have no further information, but it's been out since, for 6 months. It's kind of, and for what it's worth, you guys, city revenues are up 9% this year. So there's no basis for them not taking care of these basic things which was going to be part of my comment. So, but I will loop you in when I follow up on that. Sean, thank you for that. Yeah, I think, you know, now that we're in a new district, maybe I have a feeling, although I can't be sure, that Councilmember Krikorian may feel differently about a letter of commendation or recommendation, may feel differently than Nithya Raman. Colby, if you could maybe dig out what that reason was, you know, I can make an inquiry with Krikorian's
Well, I can
office.
I'll talk to CD2 about it. I'll start fresh.
All right, that'd be great. Okay.
If you don't mind me saying, I think it's better to call it a letter of invitation. In other words, you write an owner of a business an invitation to participate in community standards, cleanliness, upgrades, whatever. Nobody can force people. This is America, all right? So no one can, I understand not, you can't force people to do things, but you certainly, there must be, I think the first step is just to start looking and talking about what doesn't cut it. And, you know, it's like, years ago, I walked into that bank and I sat down in front of the manager and I said to him, what the hell is going on here? It was even worse than they didn't landscape. It was so dirty. And I'm talking 10 years ago, the Chase Bank. You know, you can compel places like Chase by shaming them because they have money. With smaller, like a cafe, you can actually, sometimes I just go in and I just say, what the hell is going on here? You know, the chairs are all thrown all over the place, or they don't even have, you know, it just looks like crap, you know, and there's no pride of ownership. That's the word I'm looking for. There's simple pride of ownership. It makes a difference. It came up during the ladies who were doing the car wash, and you could tell they talked. I mean, I was talking about greenery and flowers and stuff like that. And that's what makes a difference in Toluca Lake, is it's small enough and it's rich enough to have this sort of thing. But when you got businesses that are kind of wreaking havoc by not taking, you know, they have young people, I guess they have investors like that Coffee Bean. I used to work for the men that own that place, so I know what goes on behind the things there. But in any case, I don't want to drag this out, but that particular area is a petri dish for a lot of other problems, you know, meaning it just, that's why I'm sure McDonald's redid their building. Before I even knew what was going on, I told Tess, I said, they're making that a fortress because you cannot conduct a business in that environment. And that's exactly what I heard they did, is they built themselves a little fortress because it's already dangerous to go in there. Thank you. I don't want to drag it on though. Thanks.
I have
Hey,
one
John.
quick comment.
Okay, Sean.
Real quick, Jonathan, to your end with respect to the Chase Bank, Chase has nothing to do with it. They're simply tenants. They don't own any part of that. It's 100% the owner. He is completely apathetic to what goes on in that. And, you know, I've tried to reach out. There's just no ability for them or to do anything. They don't care. The only thing that I can say is they actually recently fixed the lighting that had been down for as long as I can remember. So there is lighting inside or that surround the parking lot, which makes it a little bit safer, but the level of apathy, they just don't care. I mean, if you look at the windows in the building, there's graffiti up and down the inside of the building. The owner simply doesn't, he doesn't care. He's getting the rent that he needs from Chase. And frankly, Chase has nothing to do with it because they're just tenants.
Yeah, I do think though that in this regard, a neighborhood council, that's how do you say, a unified voice of a lot of people, of at least 15,000 people speaking. And if, you know, there's such a thing as complacency, that's when you see it and you do nothing. And you've done something, Sean, you've actually investigated, but I think whoever participates in the lease is responsible for meeting standards of code. And I know that the city would probably help out a lot. I've talked to people in signage. I forget his name already, but there are some really good people, few and far between, but they're really there, who work in the city and stuff. And Tess knows a lot of them already, the ones that are willing to help out. But I think just a letter from the neighborhood council inviting participation could go a long way, but maybe not. I mean, it's worth a try.
Yeah, let me talk to CD2 and let's see if they have ideas on how to approach
Thanks.
this issue. Anyway, we
Thanks,
have to move
Colby.
on to new business. Thank you, Jonathan, and thanks, Sean and Tess, for this discussion. I feel the same way. I just do. I just to figure out a way to do this. New business.
Yes.
Hi, Jess.
We have, and Robin, this literally just came in. We have a neighborhood watch meeting scheduled. I've just confirmed the location within the last 5 minutes on Monday, the 23rd at 7 p.m. on Sarah Street. So unfortunately, that is not on the date that you would have liked, but maybe the party can be held over for 24 hours. And
So whose neighborhood watch?
it's the West Toluca Lake Residents Association Neighborhood Watch on Sarah Street.
Okay, so is your neighborhood watch different than our neighborhood watch? Because you have not included us, and you're sort of, which I think is great that you're doing this. You're so active. I love it.
Well, I'm sending I don't have neighborhood watch email addresses. I send these announcements to you. You came to our last one. So if you'd like to.
I came to your first one.
Came to our first one.
And you know, when you have these watch meetings, who's included in that?
Well, it goes to our entire mailing list, which I think includes you. And we certainly make every effort to get everybody in West Toluca Lake, because that's, you know, this is not a block party of watch captains. It's neighborhood watch meeting for the entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
But, you know, people from adjoining neighborhoods, adjacent neighborhoods are welcome, as you are and were and will remain. So
my question is, because the watch captains that I have on my list include beyond the borders of Toluca Lake, if you call it proper. I've got, you know, I said people on Lancashire, and I've got people not even in Toluca Lake that want to be part of our watch. So your neighborhood watch is for West Toluca Lake. I mean, I know I'm on your newsletter, but I guess my question is, you know, I don't want to double over what you're doing. So I'm wondering if, you know, somewhere down the line, you take the people from West Toluca Lake, or we kind of work kind of in tandem. But I don't want to bombard everybody with, you know, because your newsletter is fantastic, Tess. You are phenomenal. And, you know, you said at one time you have 1,000 email addresses. I don't have 1,000 email addresses. I have a watch that started, I believe, through Jay Goldberg and Harry Flynn and several other people that started this. And so I inherited this, and Jason and I work on this together along with Steve Hampar. So,
well, to address that, I mean, nobody would be bombarded unless you were, you know, unless, because I don't know who all of those people are. And I mean, I'm sure there's some overlap. Steve Hampar. Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's some overlap in the people on your list and on my list, but since I don't know who all of them are, they wouldn't be bombarded unless you're forwarding it to them, and they're certainly welcome. And we have one or two people, to be fair, Robin, or, you know, you've done a better job of getting block captains street by street. I only have one or two of those, which I believe I provided to you in the beginning. But, you know, I will re-up my request for block captains.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and it's particularly important as we get to emergency training, you know, CERT training. I think that's hugely important. And I haven't been able to rouse there seems to be very little lack of interest in that, at least from what I have been able to get. So the neighbors in West Toluca Lake are responsive to other things and in different ways. So we can compare notes offline, and I'll tell you the people who volunteered to be watch captains, although I think you probably already have them on your list. But we'll.
Okay, well, when, you know, you just announced that you're having a neighborhood watch meeting
For the entire neighborhood.
for
West,
There to Lake.
for West Toluca Lake?
Yeah.
Because for West Toluca Lake.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So
and
let-
anybody who would like to come, you know.
welcome, of course, of course. So neighborhood watch meeting, and that you said is on Monday, May 23rd at what time?
7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. And what's the location?
I will make sure that the resident is okay with
Oh, I see.
address. I mean, you can say 11,000 block of Sarah Street. That you
11,000 block of Sarah. And I will put address to be determined.
You know what? I'll email you the exact language, Robin, and just where to RSVP. I'll
Okay,
just
you got it. You got it.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other new business? I don't see any. You hear any? Okay, I don't hear or see any stakeholder requests to speak. Okay, I'll say that Nick Baker's partner is having a ceremony,
A memorial.
memorial for his passing and celebrating his life and everything he did for our community. If you're interested in attending, it'll be this Friday, and please email me directly if you're interested. She needs to know by tomorrow night to organize the event. Okay, Robin, do you have anything else to add? No.
No.
We covered a lot of ground tonight. We
Yeah,
certainly
we
did.
did. Our next, it was a great meeting. We got a lot accomplished. Monday, June 6th is our next meeting. Thank you all. And Colby, are we dark in July, or have we determined that?
I haven't determined that because I believe we're going to, let's talk offline about that.
Okay, you got it.
I don't know right now.
All right.
Okay. Good night. Thank you.
all.
Good night, everybody.